In this episode of the Film Festival Secrets podcast, I'm talking to indie filmmaker and big-time hustler, Alex Ferrari. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
When you name your site Indie Film Hustler, you kind of have to get used to that.
Well, I wear that badge with honor, sir. I think we all, at one way, shape, or form, are always hustling. And even if it's trying to hustle your wife to take you to a certain place to eat that night, or to go to a certain place to eat that night, or hustling a buddy to go, hey, I want to see this movie instead of that one, or hustling to go get a job or make money. I think we all hustle in a certain way every day of our lives. So I wear the hustler badge with honor, sir.
I'm sure you do. So you've been in this game for a while, made a good number of short films and worked on some features. I guess you haven't directed a feature yourself yet. Not yet.
I'm working on that.
That's in your roadmap, huh?
It's on this year's roadmap. So
Gotcha.
Something's going to happen this year.
But I think one of the most intriguing things about you is that your very first short film, Broken, right, has played an unheard of number of festivals, like almost in the hundreds, but certainly more than 100.
Between Broken alone, I stopped it at around 180 to 200. I lost count. I actually stopped submitting because I was like, what's the point of having 250 scripts? Yeah, like it just didn't make any sense to me anymore. So I literally stopped submitting to festivals and getting into festivals. And a bunch of it was for free, which we can discuss or not discuss. It's up to you. But yeah, then with all of my films, which I have arguably about 4 really big short films that I did, they got into probably between 500 and 600 film festivals. And again, I just stopped. I could have easily broken 1,000, but I just at a certain point, I'm like, I'm just tired of submitting. I'm just tired of going to festivals.
You would have run out of festivals at some point. I mean, like
you'd be surprised. Number. You'd be surprised. I mean, there's a lot of festivals in the world, and this is international too. This is not just U.S. Though the bulk of them were in the U.S. I was submitting. I was in South Africa and Australia and in the Middle East, in Asia, in Europe, a lot of European and Scandinavia. And then some in South America too, even though all my projects were in English, I did get accepted into some in South America as well. So you'd be surprised. There's a lot, a lot of festivals I'll take shorts.
So where were you living when you first started with Broken?
I was living in Fort Lauderdale, down in the South Florida area near Miami. So that's where I'm from originally. So when I made the film Broken, I made the film in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is right above just north of Fort Lauderdale. So that's where I kind of got my start in the film industry and made a life there. Actually made a living as a filmmaker in South Florida back then, which I look back now and I can't believe that I was able to do what I did. But yeah, that's where I was based.
And now you're in LA.
I made the jump about 8 years ago to LA, and I've been here ever since.
So I bring that up because I was intrigued to hear what you have to say about, industry festivals versus sort of regional, festivals in major metro areas that aren't necessarily industry connected. Because I think it's one of those things that it's one of those ways that you can break festivals down. I mean, you see articles from time to time about the 5 different types of film festivals or whatever, but there's really like hundreds of different ways you could classify film festivals.
Absolutely.
And I wondered if you could maybe give your perspective on the festivals that you played there in LA and around LA, what some of your favorites are, and maybe the differences between festivals with industry at them and festivals elsewhere.
So I'll give you an example. I've played a lot of festivals here in LA, and it was ever since I got here. About two of those 4 shorts that I was talking about played a lot in LA because I lived here. So I submitted to everywhere in LA. And it's a general statement. If you want to submit, if you have geographical areas that you want to do, depending on the goals of what you're trying to do with your film, LA and New York are the 2 best places to submit to because that's where a lot of industry sits, hangs out and can see things. So you have a better chance of somebody just kind of wandering in and watching something, from my experience at least. So, in LA, short film festivals, my favorite by far is the Holly Shorts Film Festival. I know Danny and Theo for years because I was Broken played in the very first Holly Shorts Film Festival. That's going on 10 years ago now, 10 or 11 years ago now. And they were playing originally in I think it was a conference room or gala ballroom in a hotel somewhere, and had like 60 people show up, and I was played there. So it was a lot of fun. And ever since then, we've always we became friends, and anytime I had a film, they always, wanted to play it. And so just so you understand, so sometimes a film festival might be small at the beginning. Holly Shorts has turned into the short film festival, one of the biggest film festivals for shorts in the country, especially here in LA, dwarfing the LA Short Film Festival, in my opinion. And I'll tell you why I have ill will towards the LA Short Film Festival in a minute as well.
Just love to stir up trouble, don't you?
Dude, I don't care. I'm a hustler. Don't you hear that?
Indeed.
Anyway, so the reason I say that is because they started off in a conference room, in a hotel room, and ended up at Mann's Chinese Theater. And now they hold their festival, which is now a huge festival with basically they've kind of niched themselves out to like any celebrity who wants to direct a short film or be in a short film. That's where you premiere. Like that's the festival to go to because they have a lot of industry connections. So when I've been on panels with David Arquette, Josh Brolin, Jessica Biel, all sorts of, big celebrities that happen to be making movies and were on the same, panels as I was at the time. So just because I maintained a good friendship with them over the years, a lot of opportunities opened up for my films later on. So that's one thing I can say about LA and being here in LA as far as film festival is concerned. I've played Burbank Film Festival. I played Long Beach Film Festival. There's the Palm Springs International Film Festival. There's Santa Barbara. There's Santa Cruz. There's so many in LA. There's Downtown Film Festival, Downtown LA Film Festival. There's so many film festivals here in LA. I don't even know how many there are anymore, honestly. But from my experience, since I lived here, I went to so many festivals here in LA with my film. When my last big film, Red Princess Blues, was doing the runs, my wife and I were going out to premieres weekly. Like it was just every week we'd be like, oh, another premiere here, another premiere there. And it was like at a certain point, I was being interviewed a bunch and my wife's like, you're going to have to get some more shirts. Cause you're wearing the same shirt all the time. Cause I'm a dude. I just wear what's comfortable. She's like, you're constantly being photographed with the same shirt. You're going to look weird. You got to start buying shirts. So, that was my experience in the LA scene as far as festivals are concerned. And a lot of times when you play outside of LA, just a little bit outside, maybe being like an hour out or something like that, I find it's a little bit better for networking because a lot of these people who drive out of LA or San Diego or up to Santa Barbara or something like that, they're up there for the night or the 2 nights or 3 nights out there. So they're kind of away from home. They can't just drive back home. So they're kind of stuck there at the hotel. Some of these towns outside of LA there's not a lot to go around. So they usually stay at the hotel, at the bar, networking and meeting other people. So you have access to a lot of these people, that you might have not had access to in an LA screening because they could just go get in the car and go back home. So that's one of the benefits of being in LA and then also close to LA proximity wise.
Yeah, I think even just being in California, festivals as far down as San Francisco, even Newport Beach is one of the show's sponsors, and
yes,
they have that same vibe where it's like, yeah, this is a place where people come on vacation, and so it's a natural kind of thing for a festival for them to go to. Do you have any sort of networking hacks, so to speak, on how to approach people that you either have identified as industry or think might be industry?
From my experience doing all these festivals and doing all these kind of networking things, I find that, and this is going to sound very elementary, but it's very true. Be nice. Step one, be nice. Don't go up and bark at the person or like, hey, I want you to watch this, or hey, I want you to take care of this, or something along those lines. It doesn't it doesn't help because you won't get anywhere with that. They'll just kind of blow you off and move on, as opposed to you start genuinely talking to them, about a conversation, about something that has nothing to do with your film. Maybe it's the last movie that just came out or the screening that just happened. Start building a rapport with them. Start building some sort of rapport, or not friendship, but at least some sort of rapport that you can use at a later date. Maybe it might not be that day. It might be a week or two down the line. Maybe you can exchange information, or maybe you find the person's information. I'm like, I looked you up. I know we had a great talk at the bar, and blah, blah, blah. And that's one way of doing it. The other thing is also lead with if you're going to do a hard sell on your movie or on what you want from them, you have to offer them something. You have to give them something. And that's one mistake that most filmmakers make. And people networking is a general statement. It's just like, you just bark or ask, and you just want to take. So when you're going after an agent or a manager or a producer or a high-end screenwriter or anything like that, you're just taking and asking, but you don't even know this person. So offer what you can give to them first before you start asking for things. You start giving them things, and that will set you apart right away. Like, hey, can I buy you a drink? It's as simple as something like that. You're like giving them something, and that exchange of like, hey, I'll buy you a drink. Maybe I could get 5 minutes with you. I wouldn't say that, but that's kind of like, hey, can I buy you a drink? You assume that during that drink, you'll be able to talk to them for a little bit. That's a way in, as opposed to like just pulling them away. So those kind of little tips have gone very far along my journey as a filmmaker. Is just being nice, making sure you're offering something of value to the person you're trying to connect with. And that's a very distinct term, connect with. You're trying to connect with that person and not just be a energy sucker, or, just a leech that just wants to take, because I was that guy. A while ago, where you meet somebody and they have some sort of influence or power or ability to help you, you just automatically go right on into like, well, I have a script, or I have a movie, or I have this, or I have that. And that just is a big turnoff. And ever since I've opened up Indie Film Hustle, I've get, propositioned all the time, and not in a dirty way, but but I get propositioned all the time about, hey, can you promote my thing? Or, hey, can you do this? Or, hey, I want to be on your podcast, or I want to do this or this. And generally I just don't look at those, because they're not making an honest attempt to even connect with me on a human level. And the people who have gotten the farthest with me personally are people who take the time to listen to my podcast, compliment. I don't want compliments, but like, engage with me about the content and say thank you so much, and be nice, and stay up to date with what they're doing. And that's a much nicer, a better approach, and will get much more notice than, hey, promote my stuff. Hey, do this. Hey, do that, because it just doesn't work, and you're just going to turn people off, and it's going to take you a lot longer to get where you want to be. Being nice is so underrated in all aspects of the film industry.
Oh, human connection is so much work, Alex.
I know, right? Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Nice to people and develop relationships. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of trouble.
It is. You know what? It's hustle, man. It's hustle. You have to work, and the business in general is not something. The film industry is a brutal place. You know it as well as I do, Chris, that it eats people up and spits them out daily. And especially you drive around LA, driving on Hollywood, you see the Boulevard of Broken Dreams constantly. You see people and meet people who came out here with shiny lights in their eyes. I'm going to be the next Fincher or Spielberg or Nolan or Tarantino, and they just don't understand what it takes to really get to those places. And I guarantee you, all those guys busted their ass in a way that most people nowadays don't understand. And those are the people that make it in the business, is the people who really bust their ass and work hard. And for every time you see a success story, they don't see the thousands of hours that they put into getting to that point. You only see LeBron James shoot that 3-pointer and win the game, but you don't see the thousands upon tens of thousands of hours he spent practicing that shot. And that's what there's a disconnect there. So yes, it is a lot of work to kind of build relationships and stuff, but unfortunately nowadays it's a skill that is so lacking in most people, that the people who do understand that move forward and move up that ladder so much quicker than people who don't understand that process.
This episode is sponsored in part by the Newport Beach Film Festival, which is celebrating its 16th anniversary for 2016, taking place April 21st through the 28th. Now, their call for entries is still open as of this recording. They have an extended deadline that closes on February 5th on both Film Freeway and Without a Box. The festival is about 8 days long. It's in Orange County, California, which is south of LA, and really, really cool. I've actually been to it. It's a, sort of a seaside festival, lots of enthusiastic crowds. It's not super heavy on industry, but industry people do come down from LA to kind of hang out and have a good time. They're doing some interesting special programs. So if you've got films in any of these categories, you might want to pay special attention. They've got an action sports film series, an environmental film series, art, architecture and design, music, family films, collegiate showcase, which I'm assuming is about, college filmmakers. So you might want to check out the rules on that one. Youth film showcase and a free series of seminars. So to check that out, go to newportbeachfilmfest.com and check out their site. They have a really nice layout on their submissions page about the process that your film goes through, which I think is super considerate and helpful. If you're not, real clear on how the process works, they reassure you that at least 5 people are going to be watching your film, which is an unusually high number. That's pretty good. Most festivals I know will do at least 2 people, but often not many more than that. So to get 5 people to watch, that's pretty good. And make sure that your film really, really gets every possible chance to get into the festival. One more time, newportbeachfilmfest.com. And that deadline again is February 5th. Check them out on Film Freeway and Without a Box. Well, I love the affection that you have for Holly Shorts. About 10 years ago, when I guess they were first getting started, I was working for a company that built website scheduling software for film festivals. And we worked with Holly Shorts pretty early on. And I remember thinking, when I saw what their venue was, I think you mentioned it was a ballroom or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is kind of a little festival getting started. I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. I did talk to the organizers. I remember Theo's name in particular.
Sure.
But I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. And then, years later, it's turned into this ginormous thing. And I've since lost touch with those guys, but I think I'll drop them a line and say, you wouldn't believe what this guy Alex Ferrari is saying about you. Bad talking you left and right. But no, it's really nice when a filmmaker develops a connection long-term with a festival and they foster that connection. They foster the career of that filmmaker because they genuinely like their work. It's not about doing favors and, it's about the work.
Oh, absolutely. And, Danny and Theo, who started it, I've seen them grow over the years into this megalith that they've turned into which is Holly Shorts. I mean, if you guys ever get a chance to go to Holly Shorts here in LA, which I think is coming up in August soon. I think it's August, or I don't remember the exact date. You'll have to look it up. But they put so much love into what they do at Holly Shorts that is, and they treat the filmmakers with the utmost respect, and they take care of them in ways that I've never seen in many other film festivals. And this is not a Holly Shorts promotion, honestly. I haven't been in Holly Shorts in probably about 4 or 5 years. I haven't had a film in Holly Shorts. So, it's not like, I'm there every year or anything like that. I just love the guys, and I love what they do. And you want to talk about hustle. As well as I do, Chris, it's not easy running a film festival. It's an extremely difficult thing to do to run a film festival, organize a film festival, and to see the behind the scenes of how these guys do it, and the amount of energy and time and care that they put into what they're doing, is remarkable to watch. And they've been doing it for years. And trust me, no one's getting rich. No one's getting rich off these festivals. It depends on the festival, of course, but they're hustling, and they do it because they love doing what they do. It is a business, but they love doing what they do. And you can see that in the way in the venue that they've chosen to play. I mean, I played at the DGA, which was a wonderful venue. I've never had never screened at the Man's Chinese yet, because I haven't had a film out at that time. But I would love to, but it's not Man's Chinese anymore. It's actually something else, but the Chinese theater, the famous Chinese theater here in LA. But it's amazing, and the kind of panels they put together and stuff like that. So if you can't connect with a film festival, and I have other festivals that I've connected with too, the Melbourne International Film Festival down in Melbourne, Florida is wonderful. I know those guys very, very well. And they're a great festival. They treat their filmmakers like gods down there. And that's a fun festival that, it's not a huge festival, but it's a fun festival, and they treat their filmmakers wonderfully as well. So, and I've had relationships with a bunch of different festivals over the years that I've maintained relationships with. And it's funny that, I was talking to a festival director the other day, and they go, "Oh, I remember you. I remember Broken when you played here and it won 10 years ago." I'm like, Jesus, they have long memories without question.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to have you back, Alex. This is just a short episode that we're going to do. I'm really interested to sort of get into the, the nitty gritty of your experiences coming from Florida. I wasn't born in Florida, but, St. Pete, I lived there for about 10 years, and, lots of Florida history that we'll dive into, but also just that journey of filmmaking, and doing what you do now, which is, both, continuing to work in film, but also working in, filmmaker education, which is, the whole online education space is just exploding, and there's so much opportunity for people to really learn what formerly used to be the exclusive domain of film schools.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the things that used to be behind closed doors at a USC, UCLA, or AFI, or Full Sail, or any of these kind of courses, mind you, and there's nothing. I'm not taking anything away from them. When you get Steven Spielberg to come in and guest speak, that's something you can't get online. But, with that said, the meat and potatoes of what it takes to be a filmmaker nowadays is easily accessible through online courses and online education. And I've been learning a ton about different avenues of the filmmaking process that I might have not known. And if not the filmmaking process, just anything you want to learn about, from social media to how to set up a website to how to cook Asian food to everything that used to be much more difficult to get, now is available on online courses. And that's one of the reasons why Indie Film Hustle is kind of thrown in hard on film education, because a lot of my followers, or the tribe members, indie film hustlers, as I like to call them, they've contacted me saying, "We want you to create these courses. We will pay for it. But we want you to create these courses because we love all the great content that you give us, but we want you to create courses about this, 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 and this." So I started, doing that. And my first venture out was filmmaking hacks, how to shoot and market your film festival, your short film or feature film. And, that was basically, I think it's up to 9 hours of all the stuff I went through with Broken, Red Princess, and Sin. These are 3 award-winning films I did, and all the pre-production, production, post-production, and how I marketed it and all that stuff. So I put that whole course together for them, and it's been really great. And I just released another course called Twitter Hacks, how to use Twitter to sell your movie, how to get more followers, how to get 10,000 followers in 10 weeks, and how I did it. And I did it with Indie Film Hustle, and I show you my techniques and tricks and stuff like that. So, and then you and I, Chris, are doing something as well.
What? Yes. Nicely segued, sir.
Thank you. I do what I can, sir.
Yeah. So we were recording lectures for an upcoming course, Film Festival Hacks. You'll notice a trend there, a through line, if you will, on Alex's courses. But Alex asked me to jump in on this one, and I couldn't think of a better partner. If you guys are interested in more of the kind of stuff we've been talking about in this podcast, keep an eye out. You can go to filmfestivalsecrets.com/hacks, and just sign up to get notified when that course is out and available. I'm actually really honestly excited because I think this is one of the better distillations of film festival knowledge in one place that I've ever been a part of. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, when I approached Chris about it, 'cause obviously Chris is the god of, the film festival coach, the guru.
Go on. No, seriously, keep going.
No, stop, please. No, but keep going. No, Chris knows more about film festivals than anybody else I know. So, but I brought a certain perspective on the other side of that Chris didn't have the expertise on, which is actually being the filmmaker and going through the other side of the badge, as he says. So the combination of both perspectives on the same topic is very, very powerful. So as opposed to me doing a course by myself or Chris doing a course by himself, putting us together has made the ultimate course on film festivals from both sides of the fence, not just the film festival side, but also the filmmaker side and actual, street credibility. Both Chris and I have a lot of street cred in both sides of our niches or our spaces. So combining them, I thought would just be perfect. And when Chris said, okay, we've been rocking and rolling on it, and hopefully we'll have it out soon. And I said it in the course, and I'll say it out loud. I wish I had this course before I started my journey. I think I would have saved some money, been much more strategic, and maybe even gotten more success from the festival circuit than I did. And I did get I can't say I didn't get a lot of success from it, but I think I would have saved, probably $1,000 at least just from film festival submissions alone. We do talk about how I was able to get into the majority of those 600 film festivals for free and only paying for a certain amount, or how to get in for free or cheap. So that's one thing we cover in the course, among 1,000 other concepts. I mean, it's a pretty we haven't figured out how long it is. It's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 hours worth of content, and it's really jam-packed with a lot of information. So I'm really excited about it too, and hopefully it will be out in the next few weeks.
So, do you have any hints for us about what that feature might be like? Even something vague?
The feature film that I'm currently working on, and it's still in the preliminary stages, is going to be something. And I haven't even mentioned this to my tribe yet, so I can't give away too much because I'm going to do a big announcement on it about the project. But it's going to be something that and I don't want to sound like Barnum and Bailey here, but it's something that the indie community has never seen before. No, it transcends filmmaking. No, I'm joking. It's a project that is going to be it's going to be something that you're going to want to study, not in the sense of the filmmaking aspect of it, but in the sense of how we package it, how we go through the journey of making it, how we, get it out into the world, how we go through the festivals, how we get it distributed. That whole journey is where a lot of value is going to lie for the filmmakers listening to this podcast, because it's something that the way I'm going to present it has not been done before anywhere that I've noticed. So I'll give you more details coming up on if you go to my website, indiefilmhustle.com, or sign up for my podcast. You can sign up for my podcast just go to filmmakingpodcast.com, and it takes you directly to iTunes as well. So you'll get more information about that on any of those two places.
Well, Alex, I know that the people listening haven't been through the 8 hours of recording that you and I have been together. But I will say it's been a lot of fun, and I hope a little bit of that comes through in this conversation. You guys heard him, indiefilmhustle.com. Again, sign up for notifications about the film festival hacks at filmfestivalsecrets.com/hacks. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks again, Alex.
Thank you for having me.